the marriage is the mission. Business is the vehicle. Pima can come and go, be built, be sold, but it's not the mission.
Marriage is so beautiful, so powerful. And then working with your spouse in a business or a venture that is complementary to your vision and your goals and what you all are trying to build together, it's absolutely phenomenal.
You're combining those two, marriage, which has a high failure rate, and business, which has a high partnership, which has a very high failure rate. You have a big recipe potentially for a lot of disaster and a lot of failure.
Welcome to the Takeover with Tim and Cindy, where we show you how to dominate every area of life and business. Let's get winning.
Welcome to the Takeover with Tim and Cindy. Today we're going to talk about why you shouldn't run a business with your spouse.
Don't do it.
Or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whoever. Now, here's the thing is you might be like, oh, skip to the next thing. Don't skip to the next episode. Why is that? Because even if you're not even in a relationship, you're not even in a business partnership, you're going to want to pay attention to some stuff here, because I tell you what, I was in a relationship before that I ran a business with, my former relationship, and it was a disaster. It was difficult. It was tough. It was one of the most miserable times in my life. And not because this person was horrible, but because the practical things that you need to be successful in a business relationship, in a marriage, in a business relationship were lacking. They weren't there because of ignorance. And because of that, we both suffered. It wasn't because my former relationship, that person was a bad person. It was because we didn't have the practical stuff. So if you ever plan on being in a relationship or potentially running a business with another partner, or even worse, if you decide maybe one day, like me, I wanted to find a woman that I could run a business with. Like that was in my heart. If that's in your heart, listen through this. It's going to help you avoid a lot of landmines. Hopefully it saves you years of pain like I had to go through, and I can help you avoid all of that. And Cindy and I can kind of walk you through some steps. So let's go ahead and get into it. Should somebody work with their spouse?
The short answer, no. The long answer, I think, is dissecting the reasons why it's a bad idea. So many partnerships, business partnerships, as well as spouse-partner relationships fail for several reasons. I think the most prominent reason is they have different goals. And not being clear about the true intentions or the reasons behind wanting to be in business together, right? There's a lack of alignment in like the vision and the mission and like where the two people are headed. You know, you often see one person might like really want to make a bunch of money, and they want to do entrepreneurship. They want to run this business because they're like maybe really passionate about the thing and they want to make a lot of money doing it. And the other person maybe has a very, very different motivation for wanting to start and to run the business. And when that isn't very clearly communicated up front, like the true intentions, the true reasons for wanting to start that business and being in it together, when difficulties and challenges come, when there's not true alignment in those things, it causes separation. It causes even more friction in the relationship when those intentions are not clear. For anybody thinking about like how do you successfully do it, or what are the downsides of doing that, it could potentially cost you not only your marriage, but also your business, right? Not having those clear vision or the clear intentions from the start.
I'm interested to dive in and ask you some questions. I had a former relationship that I always had a desire. I wanted to find a woman that I could do life with, do business with. And it was just, cause this is for me, business is life. Like I love it. I love building things. I love engineering things. I always have. And it's just part of who I am. And I wanted to make sure that the person I found wasn't just an accessory or whatever, like an ornament to my life. I wanted to find somebody who's partner, like down. And so for me, I was in a relationship and I tried to do it before. And there was a lack of alignment in a lot of areas. And then in business, we didn't have complementary skill sets. She was very good at some of the stuff that I was very good at, and she was very bad at the stuff that I'm very bad at. And so it didn't work out well. Like the idea, the energy, the excitement was cool until the day-to-day practicality wasn't there. And I know if you look across divorce rates, what is like 50%, I don't have the quotes, but it's really high. Then you look across the numbers of business partnerships that fell, very, very high. A lot of the reasons why, I'm not going to go into why marriages fell. We're going to mostly talk about business today. And we do know that now when you're combining those two, marriage, which has a high failure rate, and business, which has a high partnership, which has a very high failure rate, because business has a high failure rate, and then business partnerships has an even higher failure rate. Now adding marriage into that, you have a big recipe potentially for a lot of disaster and a lot of failure. That's why we're starting off the show as this is why you shouldn't do it. Let's look at the reasons why it could fail first. I think what is really, really important to look at is a lot of times the reason why a lot of business partnerships fail. And this is if you don't already know this, it's going to really, really help our listeners.
Yeah.
A great business needs to have two people, an integrator and a visionary. Somebody who can, the visionary is somebody who can see the future. They can cast vision. A lot of times they're doing sales, they're doing marketing, they're rallying the troops. An integrator does what?
Most of the operations, the day-to-day, putting the motion, the action behind the vision, implementing.
These two things are critical to build a business. The reason why a lot of business partnerships fail is you get two visionaries. They get excited. They go bust out. I call them whiteboard entrepreneurs. They write out a bunch of ideas on a whiteboard. Oh, they're awesome ideas. They're going to change the world. But then there's no integrator to go make sure the day-to-day, the execution, the people, the processes, the systems, AKA like a COO.
Yeah.
Co-founder and founder. One's operations, one's the CEO executing the whatever vision. Whatever chief executive, I'm executing, I'm executing, right? Right? So or you have two integrators. So it's like you have two visionaries that are just ready, fire, aim, and nothing's getting done. And you'll see this in companies that they make a bunch of money and they crash, and they do make a bunch of money and they crash. And, and I had done that as a solo entrepreneur, made a bunch of money and it crashed, and made money and it crashed because I didn't have an integrator. And then on the other side, you'll have a lot of, the other side will be two integrators working together. So you have these basically lifestyle businesses that struggle. They don't have enough vision. They don't have enough savvy. They don't have enough sales to get to the next phase. Whereas if you look at most all great businesses, whether in the tech world or in any kind of business world, there is always the visionary and the integrator.
Yeah.
Great companies. I think that is one of the reasons why we got lucky is we have visionary integrator. We work together really well, and it's kind of lucky because you're lucky to have a marriage that's like that, and then you're lucky to have a business partnership that has that, and then you're extra lucky or blessed, however you want to put it, to have a marriage that you then are a business partner with, and it has that dynamic. And we have that dynamic as well as other pieces of alignment. So for you, what would you say are the reasons? I know for me, just make sure that if it's visionary, don't do it.
Yeah.
If it's integrator, don't do it. What are some other reasons why somebody should not do this with their spouse?
For sure. It's definitely, you want to get clear on your skills, right? So if you are not clear on what your area of expertise or your zone of genius is, back to that visionary integrator scenario, if you're not clear on what your zone of genius is, then you can potentially think a partnership would work out because we're both driven, we're both ambitious, we're both going to, hit this goal. But if you don't know what your zone of genius is or what you're exceptionally good at, as well as what that potential partner's zone of genius is and what they're good at, you might come into the relationship with good intentions, but actually have no means to execute because of that misalignment. So step one is determining what are your skills? What are you really good at?
Yeah.
What is your zone of genius? And get honest about that, right? For example, I know that I can cast vision. I'm pretty good at that, but you're exceptional at that. That's an area that you absolutely thrive in. Setting vision, casting vision, coming up with the next idea That's what you're great at.
Yeah.
And I know where my skills and my zone of genius lie as well. I'm great at processes, systems, hiring, talent, people.
It just makes sense to you.
Correct. And so get clear on what is that area of expertise that makes sense to you and what is your zone of genius. And when you are looking at a potential business partnership, can you identify that in the person as well? Like, can you look at a person and say, oh, well, like I can see your skills in this because you have proven track record of results, not just what you say you're good at, right? Like I could say I'm good at sales, but do I have a proven track record of results? Like, have I done sales in the past? Have I made sales in the past, right? Like, is there evidence to back up that I'm really good at this skill? And if you're looking at a partnership and there is no evidence to back up what that person says they're quote unquote really good at, that's probably a flag.
A gift of gab. I'm good with people. I sold enterprise sales. Doesn't mean they're going to be great for this role.
Correct.
Hey, I've always been good with people, so I can probably build an organization and run and hire and build culture. And I've just got a feeling for people. Like maybe there's something there, but there's definitely it's uncertain. I kind of think about it like this. It's like two people that get really excited to work together, but they don't have clarity on the skill sets of how to execute. It's like, have you ever seen like a little kid start to get so excited? He's listening to some music, but he doesn't know how to dance. So he just tries anything he can. And it's like offbeat and it's awkward and it's cute, but you're not getting any dancing done. It's like, your body's excited and you're moving around. Like, I want to do, you don't know how to do it. It's like, that's kind of what can happen is if you get excited, but you don't have clarity on what are the moves. What's the rhythm that you're going to be in together? Like, how do I move to the beat? How, when the boom clap, right? Like, how do I understand those dynamics in the relationship? And so what you're saying is make sure you have clarity on what are the steps. Like what are the skills? Like what are my skills? What do I have a proven track record with?
Yep.
At some level, what does this person have a proven track record with?
Yes.
And then I would say also, what do you get energized with? Right? If you both are energized, constantly just vision, but you get bored and bogged down in admin and details, that's a really good sign that, you're both similar skill set, not complementary skill set.
Yeah, that's a major key. In a business partnership, you have to have complementary skills. 1000%, right? You can't both be visionaries and you can't both be integrators. One has to cast the vision, one has to be able to execute and implement. And that makes for a very successful business partnership. And now you're combining that with, let's go back to like the marriage side of it too, right? I think people want to work with their spouse because potentially they have a common vision. Maybe they do have alignment in their goals, and that's great. That's the starting point. What is our vision? What are our goals? What do we want to build together? There's alignment in that potentially, but then it comes down to, okay, we're aligned in vision, but do we have complementary skills? Is one of us a visionary that can cast vision, can see the future, is great with ideas? And is the other one, can they implement? Can they integrate? Can they execute? Because as you mentioned, if both of you are visionaries and nobody has that ability or even the desire to want to execute on the mission, on the plan, it's very, very difficult to succeed. So even if you do have alignment and vision, that second key that you have to have is the complementary skills for sure.
And I think too, like, just as we're talking about this, because there is skills that you and I are both good at.
Yeah.
Like we're both really good at copywriting, which are really good skills to have. Like you run a whole, I was the copywriter. I was reading the copywriting books. When you started working on this, I was like, here, read these and write copy. And then you actually had a gift for communication because you've been doing speeches and you've been ever since you were a little girl, you've wanted to be on stages. You've been on stages. You've become a really good, clear communicator. And I think when I showed you some of those skills of here's how you communicate and influence effectively in the marketing context, you actually did really good. So we have crossover skills. Like you could get on a call if you needed to, if for whatever happened to me and you needed to go get the sales team on board, you have enough understanding of human psychology and dynamics. You can run the sales team and know a good call versus a bad call.
Yeah.
You can write good copy. Now, that's not where you put your primary focus or I put mine, but it is okay to have skills that work together. And a lot of times it's very helpful that both partners can do certain skills. I think the most important thing is more of those are skills that can be learned. Copywriting, sales, those are very much, no one's born a copywriter. Nobody's born a salesperson. In fact, people that are naturally good with the gift of gab end up not being the best one-on-one salespeople, because it's a lot of times it's introverts, quieter people that are very meticulous, methodical about process that become really good at like remote closing, high ticket sales because they master the process. It's a process, it's a skill that can be learned. However, when we look at integrator versus visionary, I would say these are a little bit more DNA than skill set. So, I would say you can have complementary skills, you can even have some of the same skills, but like that core DNA of what comes easy to you, I think is a really good question asked. So like Cindy, I know for me, what comes easy to me is like, I see an idea, I can be like, oh, if we got to do this thing, because if we don't do this thing in 6 months, like we're going to be left in the dust.
Yeah.
And then we do that. And then like 4 or 5 months later, everybody's like, oh, I'm glad Tim did that. And for me, it's just easy. Like like the ideas come to me and, and for you, like what is the easy things that come to you that's like, oh yeah, you enjoy doing that, you get energized by that or whatnot.
Bringing people together towards the vision, like delegating. We have the vision that you've already casted. How do we execute? Okay, you do this, you do that. I'm very good at processes, systems, people. That's like my zone of genius. I could do that all day. That comes really easy to me. Admin, operations, that kind of thing.
So we could almost say pretty clearly any business needs to have those two factors. Now, you could a visionary and hire an integrator.
For sure.
It's
not necessarily your spouse.
But it's not necessarily your spouse.
Right. Yeah.
If you're the visionary and your spouse is a visionary, maybe you run your own companies. We ran our own companies for a while. It was actually through difficulty and challenge that we kind of were forced to do this together. And that's when we found out we got kind of lucky that we actually worked together so well. But we were very much supporting each other and running our own businesses. I mean, you had ran your own successful coaching business. You did over 200 clients in the first year of running your coaching business. And I was like, go all the way. And then some things shifted around 2020 and we worked together and we're like, now this is the most amazing thing. But I think that's okay. Like just ask yourself that question, who's the visionary and who gets energized by those ideas and who gets energized with the daily, to one person, it would be like, it's energizing. To the other person, to me, it's just mundane. I like building, casting vision, building something, getting it working, seeing it working, and then going to the next thing. You're very good at like really optimizing pieces, people, systems, like doing things every day over and over again that for me would feel monotonous. For you, it's like, not that it's not monotonous. Sometimes it still work, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's different. So, I mean, to kind of wrap this section up, what would be those questions to ask yourself as to whether or not it's even like your spouse, even the right person to work with?
Right. What skills does my partner have that I do not have? And it first starts off with knowing what skills you have. And I feel like a lot of people are not self-aware. You have to get clear on what your area of expertise is. What is your zone of genius? What are you really good at? Get clear on that first, then ask that of, your partner. What skills do they have? What are they exceptional at? And are those two complementary? And if it's like a hell yes, they are, then we can give you some tips on like how to do this really successfully. And if they are not, then it's a pretty clear indicator that it may not be a good idea for you and your spouse to work together. And then also too, if there is no alignment in the vision, that already cut that off at step one. That off at step one. If there's no alignment in the vision, don't even have a conversation about whose skills are better or who has different skills. If one person's looking to build an empire, the other person is looking for a lifestyle business, there's already a misalignment.
Generally, when our sales team's talking to people, I have them ask that question: is this a lifestyle business or an empire business? Because the motivations behind that much different. And it's okay in a marriage. You could have if you're married and your wife or your husband is a lifestyle, you could be an empire builder and you could still have a great marriage.
Yeah.
But if you have one person in the same business and another person in the same business, one's a lifestyle entrepreneur, one's a empire builder.
It's so tough.
It's going to be brutal.
It is so tough.
Brutal.
Think about one person's trying to, let's go to the next level. Let's build, let's grow. Like, let's dominate. The other person's like, oh, well, we're good here. Like, we're comfortable.
We're fine. Let's
we're
go to the
good.
next happy hour.
Like, we're straight. Like, we're fine here, right? Like, we don't have to go to the next level. Like, we're comfortable.
Why always want more?
Yeah.
Why don't you? Like, there's so much opportunity. Yeah. Well, why can't you be satisfied with what you got? You know, like, it's just not fun.
There's misalignment for sure. So if you don't have alignment in the mission, the purpose, the vision of the company, don't even move on to step 2, which is determining the skills.
Yeah. So be brutally honest, assess these things. Do you have the skills? Do you have the alignment? I know we spent all of 2020, Pima 1.0, which was my mess, grew super fast, 243 clients, no operations, just all marketing sales, good product, and then hired a bunch of bad people, which is my fault. No one else to blame but me, which then built I meant well, but hired the wrong people, built a horrible culture, and then just the business crashed. That's what ended up getting you and I together. And you said, what if I helped? Because we had just gotten married. If you haven't watched the first episode, watch it. It's an incredible story. But we had, business just crashed. The week after we're married on our honeymoon, Cindy sees us on the honeymoon dealing with customers, like, what's going on here? A week after that, I'm like, hey, babe, the business has crashed. You step in and said, what if I helped? And that was the beginning, 2020, speaking on that, having vision, mission, values, alignment. We spent most of 2020 very, very a lot of work behind the scenes. What do we want the vision to be? What do we want our values to be?
Yeah.
And we created a ton of alignment through that practice. So I would even say, if you're going to do it, maybe a good practice would be, hey, why don't we just do a test, or if we could work together, let's lay out a mission, the vision, and our core values.
Yes.
And if those are in alignment and we both get excited about the mission and we both get excited about the vision, then maybe this is like, okay, let's now look into the skills. Do we have the right skill sets? Because for us, it's to end entrepreneurial poverty by flooding great businesses with dream clients. And our vision is to, be the best in outbound and be a vehicle for all of our teammates to hit all of their personal, professional, financial goals. That means everybody that ever comes onto our team, we have to have a revenue goal and a team goal so big that everybody's dreams can fit within inside Pima. That's freaking massive. And we both are so on fire and excited about that. But if, you are the empire builder and you're excited about that, and I came in, I'm like, I don't know, what am I got to do all that? Like, we'll just build $100K a month business and, hire a couple people, pay them well, and just be good. It would be like constant tension. So maybe that would be like a really good place. Because just thinking about our conversation now, like that's how we actually got started.
For sure. Absolutely. And that tension, right? If you're in that tension, that very easily bleeds into the marriage, which then causes issues in your marriage as well. So that's why we highly discourage you from starting a business with your spouse if you don't have these pieces,
which causes stress
in place.
And sleepless nights, and stress causes more marriage problems and more marriage and business problems. It's like this negative cycle.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's just say we've scared 95 out of 100 people away into being like, yeah, I'd rather just build my own badass business. I'll go find an integrator COO to help me build this. That's fine. Either a partner or an employee. Find a good, find a good integrator or visionary that can fill the role that you want on your business. But there's probably a percentage that are listening now that say, you know what, we are empire builders, or we have the same vision for this lifestyle business, that we get to travel with our kids and do this. We have that exact same vision for business. And you know what? I think our skills are really complementary. And she's the visionary. She has these good ideas that constantly come in. And I love operations and organizing. And we just work so well together. Let's just say we have that. What then? Where do we go from here to have a really successful business and marriage together?
Yes, this is the exciting part. I think if you've resolved that you all are here, you're working together, this is what you're going to do, it can be something really beautiful and so powerful and so exponential. I think there's nothing more powerful than one, a marriage. Marriage is so beautiful, so powerful. And then two, working with your spouse in a business or a venture that is complementary to your vision and your goals and what you all are trying to build together. It's absolutely phenomenal. I think about some quote unquote rules to successfully win in a business or rather partner spouse type of like relationship. One, I would say you have to be on mission, which we've spoken about, and there has to be a constant repetition of that mission and that vision and the goals that you're working towards. Right? It's not just a one day out of the year we set the vision and we set our goals and we forget about it for the rest of the year. That's going to cause a lot of misalignment. It's the constant repetition of reminding ourselves of what we're working towards, reminding ourselves of the vision that we set for the business and for our lives. And for you and I, that looks like daily. We write out our goals daily. We recite our mission and our vision, our values daily. We've integrated that with our team as well. Like it's in the DNA of what we do every day. So there's that reminder of the mission and what we're working towards. So for you all, how can you remind yourself consistently of the mission, of the vision, and of your goals? Because that forms the foundation of your business and where you're headed. When challenges come, you go back to like, this is the reason why we're doing this, right? You're reminded of your goal and the why and the reason you keep persisting in the face of challenges, and how much more powerful to be able to do that with your partner.
I think too, if you are somebody that is looking for, I think lifestyle businesses are very dangerous in the time that we live in right now. I mean, I think, can you build them? Yeah, but one technology change, one shift happens, can make you from being this comfortable lifestyle entrepreneur, unless you're in real estate and you've got passive income, assets that are doing. But if you're like an internet entrepreneur trying to live a lifestyle business, it can be dangerous. And so, so I know for us, we are very hyper growth focused. And I think when you're more hyper growth focused, you kind of, because you're moving forward so much, it's like you're running into the difficulties and challenges because you're just like, I want this. And you're constantly pushing so hard and so fast that you're going to constantly be faced with those things that if you don't have alignment will separate you. But what I think I found as your partner is because we are so aligned, like I get excited to run into a new challenge because I've seen us dominate. Time and the team, like even the team, we have a culture, and you really created this culture, which is problems are opportunities. And we've said that before. And at first people are like, what? And then they see a massive, huge problem come, and they see us like in a matter of weeks turn it into like the biggest opportunity our business has had, and then do it again and again. It's like we create that culture. So you almost create this when you do have alignment in your team and your culture and your partner, where you're almost excited to run as fast as you can, knowing that you're going to trip and knowing you're going to fall, because you've just seen yourself take those things and turn them around so fast and so strong. You almost get excited for that next thing, even though it kind of sucks when you run into the challenge. You almost get excited because you're programming yourself to know what's on the other side of that difficulty. And so just kind of a comment I wanted to put there, that it's exciting to run into the battlefield, as it were, because we know we've won so many wars and battles together.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. The second is communicate often. Have tough conversations as often as possible. And when I say tough conversations, it's not fighting. You're not out to get each other. It's like we're going to sit down and communicate and have a conversation so that we can resolve it and keep working towards the vision. I think too many times people will hold on to like something that happened and they don't communicate about it, and it builds up and it builds up and it builds up. And then all of a sudden, like you blow up at your partner or your spouse about something that really is, you should have communicated about it from the start. So I think if you make it a habit to communicate often and have tough conversations often, you actually eliminate fighting altogether. Yeah. Because I think fighting comes as a result of lack of communication or out of misinterpretation of certain communication. So I think if you can communicate often and early and have those tough conversations, you build it into just the way you and your partner and your spouse do things. Like you always communicate about things. It'll eliminate a lot of unnecessary conflict, fighting, holding grudges, holding things in. Like there's nothing that I won't tell you. Even if it's difficult to say, I know that it's for good. And I think a second part of communication is like being open to feedback.
Yes.
Right? Being open to feedback from your partner and from your spouse. It's not nice to receive feedback. It actually sucks sometimes, right?
Because in the moment, it's not nice.
It's not nice. It's like, you're like, like, did you have to say that? You have to tell me that feedback? But I always know when I do get feedback from you, it's sharpening me. Like you're giving me that feedback because you want me to win. Yes. You want me to be better. You want me to succeed. I know that the intentions are pure. And so I welcome that feedback, even though I know like it stings when I first receive it, but I'm open. It's part of communication. I think being okay with receiving feedback from your spouse in a way that's going to make you better.
Yes. And even, I would say even leading with being the receiver, you know what I mean? Because I think what is easy to do is give criticism. You messed this up. You did this thing wrong. And it's almost like you're trying to like attack the person. And it's like, well, you know, if he or she would just start receiving, it's like you gotta, the way you lead, whether you're a guy or girl, like just be the leader and receive the criticism. Make it a habit, no matter how you feel. When somebody tells you something, even if it was from a very critical standpoint, I didn't like the way you did this. It was very, very belittling. Just get the habit you should build is to say thank you. I definitely appreciate that feedback, and let me process and do the best I can to level up. And I think when you lead with just getting a habit of saying thank you anytime you get criticism, anything like that, you want to start programming yourself to receive feedback from every employees, everything. Oh, thank you. Yeah, like become like, it doesn't feel good, but on the other side of it, it's like you get so much respect from people.
Yeah.
When they see that you listen and you care what they say, then you're actually starting to train them that you receive feedback, and they'll actually stop being so critical and judgmental when you give it. And a lot of times they'll give it to you before it builds up, because they see that you're so open and willing to receive it. So I would say it's a big trick right there, is just simply say thank you. Anytime somebody gives you any feedback, don't go, well, you know, what I was trying to do is that, don't try to justify yourself, even if it's nice. Well, I was really trying to do this thing. Just say thank you. I appreciate that. I can tell you're trying to help me be better, and I'm going to be better. And then on the other side, when you're giving it, have that pure intention. Like,
yes, that's important.
And I want to give a really good example of what you do, just so that the listeners can kind of hear how you do that in a practical sense. You know, if Cindy really believes in me as a leader, and I really believe in her as a leader. You know, we believe in each other. We have a lot of faith in each other. When we're in meetings, though, like especially as a remote company, your company culture is your meetings.
Yeah.
It is your SOPs. It is the way you interact in the meeting. It is what you allow, the standards you set, what you accept, all of those things. And so, like, knowing that to be true, the way that you have great leadership is by being able to run great meetings. And so one thing that you are always aware of is giving me feedback when we get out of meetings of, hey, you did a great job with this. However, this, you kind of talked a little too long, and you should have left more room open for everybody else, or you did this. And it stings. It doesn't feel nice for me to hear it. But then on the other side, now I make that adjustment for the next meeting, and we have a more effective meeting, a more energizing meeting. More people get the benefit, because the goal of the meeting is not for us to talk. I think a lot of leaders want to just like use as an outlet to be excited and have fun. But the goal of a meeting is to build the team, so that the team can build a company. And that's a really good example of, you do that a lot. You help me refine my communication, my leadership skills by giving me your feedback in real time. And so because you don't let that build up, you don't let that go like 3 months and you're like, oh, you always do this in the meetings. What's wrong with you, you son of a... It's like
You
cut
that out.
you just like say it when it happens.
Yes.
I feel that little bit of a sting. I go, okay, cool. Then you see me actually do better on the next call, and you're like, oh, great job,
good. So good.
Reward the good things. Good boy,
did so
good boy, you did so good, right? And then now we're learning faster, we're learning better, and we're not letting things build up. And so that's one thing you do exceptionally well as a leader and as a business partner.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I receive it, and I think it's one point that I really want to emphasize that you said is be open to receiving. Because if you're always the one that's giving feedback, and when somebody gives you a piece of feedback, you blow up or you don't receive it, like that is not a good synergy in a partnership.
Or if you gracefully make, hey, you should think about doing this. Well, what I meant to do was blah, blah, blah. Even if it's like subtle, just say thank you. Take a time. I'm not to interrupt, but
no, for sure.
Just say thank you. Receive it, process it, and go like, hey, maybe there's something to learn here.
For sure. If you're going to give it, be willing to receive. Absolutely. I think the third rule on how to really do well with a partner-spouse relationship is always have your partner's back.
Yes.
1000% have their back. Actually want to see them win and succeed. You and I have been in some... say we'll go out to like dinner with a couple or something, and like the one partner will like say something really mean about the other partner, and we're just like, oh, you just say that about the person?
You always do.
Yeah, and we're just like, like you have to have your partner's back. Like you have to uplift them. Always speak positively about them, especially in public. Like you should be that person's number one support and like have their back in everything, and that allows for such a powerful marriage and a powerful business partnership. I can just think about like in a team meeting, if you were to say like, oh, Cindy always does this and she always does, like, wow, not only is that really diminishing, right, our marriage and the union, but also like how bad that looks on the team. Like those two are not in alignment. You know, like how important it is to have a strong front as a union, as a marriage, as a married couple, as the leaders. You have to be that unified front for the people that you are leading. And if there is division in the camp, in the leadership camp, that's going to cause a lot of chaos and division with the rest of your team and organization. So have your partner's back 1000%.
What's the opposite? Because you either have your partner's back or you have the opposite of what that would be, which is like that. Oh, I want to see them feel some pain.
Yeah.
I want to see them feel sorry for what they did. I want to see them fail so they know what it's how I felt on it. So it's like, just think that thought process through of if you're frustrated with your spouse or something and you just, I just want to see them, I'm going to get them back, pay them back, pay back your spouse, your partner. Like, are you kidding me? The person who is building your life vision with you, why would you want them to fail? But I don't think people realize if you're talking bad or you're belittling them or you're talking them down, or why you do that? You're being such an idiot. Like just silly, like non-constructive critique. You really are attempting to damage that other person, like in a means to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're destroying the person that you're building your life and your vision with. And if it's your business partner, like you said, now there's division in the camp. Like, let's just be real. Teammates don't follow leadership teams that are out of alignment.
And divided, for sure.
Never. And when the enemy's camp's divided, meaning when your camp's divided, your competitors can come in, they can swoop up your talent if you have good employees, they can swoop up your client base in a moment.
Yeah. And how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So it's happening, right? Say like you are bad-mouthing your spouse on a private level, on a personal level, like that's going to bleed into your team as well. So that's why you and I speak so much about alignment, being aligned with values. We don't have different values in our personal life and different values in the company. It's the same set of values that we live by. And there's no misalignment. So thinking about too, how are you operating on the personal side? Do you communicate often and early? Do you guys give each other feedback? Do you have your partner's back? Because how you do it on the personal side is actually how it translates into business and vice versa.
And don't wait for your spouse to be the one. If you are at odds right now, because there was a time when business was starting to go well, and all of a sudden we started every Saturday we would get in a fight, and not to go too much into that, but it was because we didn't, whatever our subconscious wasn't allowing us to have that level of success and enjoy the happiness, right? But like when you are in those places of tension, the temptation is to be, well, why aren't they? I'll be open to receiving feedback, but they need to be open to receiving it. And I think the big thing here is doesn't matter what your partner is or isn't willing to do.
Yeah.
And I promise you the best way to get them to change is by you changing, by you becoming the teachable one, by you receiving feedback, by you receiving that, by you giving like, hey, you did this thing really awesome. You're so good at that. There's just one thing, not trying to judge you or critique you, but being very soft and gentle about, if you deliver feedback to somebody who's a little bit hard and like shut off because maybe the relationship's in a bit of a tension, like always give that with like, here, I want to tell you 2 things that I think you're awesome at, because I think you have a very great potential in this and then this. You do so good at that. There's one area, if you're okay, that I think that could help you improve those things. Would you be open to me sharing that with you?
Yeah.
And now you're asking their permission to share it. You just let it up with how you see them, how they view them. And now you're showing this one thing that's outside of their identity, outside of who you believe. It's this one thing that they do that you feel like if they made that adjustment could make them reach more of the potential. And then, so you can use that framework and then going, would you be open if I share that with you? Are you comfortable with that? And then guess what happens? What are you going to say if I do that?
Absolutely.
Cool. So now you just ask their permission, you got their agreement. The compliance is going to be a lot higher. It's a sales technique, it's an influence technique, but it also works really well because now you're being nice. Like you're lifting them up and you're showing, here's this little way I could see you be better. So if you are tempted right now, well, they need to change. No, they're not going to. They're never going to change because if you're thinking about this, you're the one that is getting the idea and you're the one that is being called to bring that to the relationship. That's I would say.
Yeah.
And this works for business partnerships too.
For sure. Absolutely.
I think when we were talking before, we're like, this is going to be a really short episode. We'll get through this really fast, and then
much to talk about.
We're just like, oh, actually, shoot, like, because I think there's a lot more that you and I want to say, and we're kind of holding back to make sure we just give like just the most amount of gold that we can without it being too long. So
we do it. Give it all.
Give it all. So
give it all.
We have 2 more. Then should we share them?
Yes, let's do it.
I'm gonna steal this one,
okay.
And then I'm gonna let you talk about it though, and that's stay in your lane. Now, is this like a highway? Like I'm in Miami and 95 and I stay in my lane while the other person's swerving in my lane? Or is this like the swim lanes? What kind of lane are we talking about here?
Yeah, this is your zone of genius, your area of expertise, your job. Like whatever your role is in the company, stay in that lane. So let me give you a practical example.
Are you talking about like Slack channels? when I start swimming in your lane in the Slack channels?
So I'll tell you this. So Tim leads the sales team in marketing and I do operations. Okay. Tim's the visionary. I'm the integrator. So this looks like Tim is 1000% confident in making decisions in sales, and I 1000% have his back and agree with all the decisions that he makes because that is his lane and that's where he holds leadership. Same thing on my end with operations, with team. That is my zone. And so I make the decisions and Tim is 1000% confident in me to make those decisions as it relates to that area of the business. If I had to make a decision in operations and Tim every time had to come to me and say, why did you make that decision? Or you should have done it like this instead, and vice versa, like we'd have a very turbulent marriage and business partnership. So this simply means once you've set out what each person's role and designation is, stay in your lane.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that I don't give Tim feedback and he doesn't give me feedback. That's not what we're saying. It's be 1000% confident in your area of expertise and your lane and trust that your partner's got it on their end. You don't have to dip your toes in the water or try and see what they were doing unless they're open and they want that feedback.
Yeah.
For sure, it's collaboration, 1000%. But and
if you do, it would be more like, hey, do you mind if I share a perspective on this? Or do you mind if I share an idea?
You may or may not need it, but...
You may or may not need it.
Yes.
Like, you know what you're doing. But just to put it out there, throw it down if you want, but insert some feedback.
For sure. understanding that it's okay to collaborate. Right? It's not saying that I stay siloed on my side of the business and we don't ever interact. There is a lot of overlap and a lot of integration, but it's knowing that that person's got it. And if you don't trust that the person's got it, then that's a different conversation, right? Then you haven't fully resolved that person can handle that side of the business if you're always having to check in and give feedback or question the decision that they've made in that area, right? So stay in your lane simply means stay focused on your zone of genius and in your area, and let's trust that the person has got it on their end as well. And if you need their support and you need their help, you can always ask and have that, like those open lines of communication between the two of you. But I think staying in your lane is so important. And I've seen, business relationships and marriages where people are trying to cross over so much that, and it really boils down to a lack of trust. You don't trust that the person has it down enough that you don't need to put your hands in it.
And so sometimes, because competence leads to confidence, right? The more work, the more, so sometimes there is the person that you're working with may not be competent for the role, which is a different conversation. If the person's not competent for the role, make sure they get the skills necessary to be competent for the role. If the person is competent for the role, then getting into the lane and trying to fix things is going to show them that you have low confidence in them, which is going to create lack of trust, which is going to create a downward spiral. And so I think number one is ask yourself, does this person have competence in that lane and that skill? Do they have more competence than I have in that? And if the answer is yes, then it's like, how can I support them to be the best in that?
I love that support.
Versus, and then and then if there's areas that they're falling short, it's like, what can I do? How can I support you? How can I help you out? Versus if you're if just showing that shows that you have a lack of confidence in them. And when somebody feels that you have a lack of confidence in them, it almost indicates to them that you have a lack of belief in them and a lack of competence in them, as it were. But when you trust that I got it, and I'm like, and I trust me, I trust that you got it 1,000%. That also builds your confidence.
Yes.
Because you see another high performer, you see somebody else that you respect, that's like, you got it. You need me, I got your back. You need some help, I got your back. You need me to help with some of the group interviews. I know you're a little overloaded this week, I got your back. Then it becomes synergistic.
Yes, that's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Okay, so we're 4 in. We've covered a lot. I mean, should we just call it? I know there's a fifth one. But at this point in time, I don't know.
Let's do it. Number 5.
Do it. Okay, what is number 5 then? Let's give it to him.
Number 5, and the most important, marriage is always the number one priority.
Numero uno.
Always number one. And this is above the business. And it's a very strong statement to make, especially because business for us it's everything, right? Like there is no separation for us. However, marriage has to be the number one priority. I think about if for some crazy reason the business had to go, we'd still have this. We'd still have this union. We'd still have our marriage, our partnership. We can go and build something else, right? If that's really what we're called to. But marriage is always the number one priority. And I think putting that as number one, everything else stems from that, right? Communication. I want to communicate because marriage is my number one priority. I want this person to do well. I want to give them feedback. I want to receive feedback so that I can be a better wife, a better partner. I think everything else stems from it, right? The mission, the vision, the alignment, it comes from being unified as like a married couple, right? Staying in our lanes. It's like you have your skills that you're exceptional at and I have mine, but marriage remains like that number one priority because you want to see that other person do well. I think I feel a very strong calling for me that part of my mission, not only just like building business, is to help you reach your full potential. And that is same, right? And that's why like marriage is the number one priority. I want to see this person win. I want to see this person reach their potential. And I think having that as a number one priority, businesses will come, businesses will go, employees will come, employees will go, challenges are going to come, successes are going to come. And it's just knowing that if you have this union and this unity at the core of it, like you can remain solid for years to come.
But having the marriage is number one. Like when when I thought about that, I'll be honest. I'm like, no, like the mission, the vision is number one. But just, to be very candid, I'm like, what? No, like the mission, the vision, like part of who I was before I came to this was on this mission to do something. But then I remembered our marriage is the mission. We see this as a mission that we're on together. So like when we write out our goals together, when we write out our mission, our vision, our values, the marriage is the mission. It is where we're going together is the mission.
Yeah.
And then the business is the vehicle.
That's good.
So Pima can come and go, be built, be sold. We run it forever. That's the vehicle, but it's not the mission. There's a mission and a vision within that. But I think what really got me aligned with marriages first is that the mission, the marriage itself has a mission that's beyond the business.
That's good.
And just as I think any business, as if you're an entrepreneur, there should be a vision and a mission that when you build a business, it should serve that mission and vision. Otherwise, you will serve your business for the rest of your life when businesses are designed to serve and reward their owners.
Yeah, the risk taker.
Risk taker. So, and I think
powerful.
That's like our mission and vision for our lives and where we want to go goes far beyond and we have massive goals at our current company, and we're going to hit them. But our life and our mission goals is a unit far exceed that. This is like the big mission vision for this company is really just a small stepping stone in the whole scheme of things. I mean, these days with technology and breakthrough and healthy living, I mean, we could easily live to 120, 130, which means we have a lot of years ahead of us. And so I think when I really started thinking about it that way, it aligned with me like, oh no, our mission, our vision is so much bigger and beyond what this company, this little company is. No matter how big it is, $1 billion company, it's still small in the scheme of where we're going in our life.
I think you articulated that so well. Yeah, that visual of why marriage is a number one priority, like spot on.
Is don't work with your spouse. Horrible idea. Reasons to not work with your spouse. If you're both visionaries or you're both integrators or you don't know what you are and you're like an excited kid that wants to dance but doesn't know how, meaning you're excited about a business you two want to start but you don't know who has the right skills to execute the right steps, don't do it. Wait it out, figure it out, learn your skill sets, build your own businesses, start your own things. And then over time, even you and I had separate businesses at first, and then we merged together when we found out that we had the complementary skills. So make sure you have visionary integrators specifically. And I would say that there's skills which can be learned like sales and copywriting and those things. And then there's like things that are part of your DNA, your zone of genius, and figure out what's in your DNA, your zone of genius, which could just be like, what are the things that come easy to you? Like you just can always see that 6 months ahead of where the business should be. That means you're visionary. If you're the one that can take those ideas and put a good roadmap and realistic and expect day to day, you're an integrator. Figure out where your zone of genius is, where your DNA is. And then, like the skill sets of copy and marketing and different pieces like that, whatever your business is, like those can be the same or similar. That's fine. Now, when we look into like the reasons why businesses fail is because they don't have the complementary DNAs.
Yeah. Pros is, it's when you build a business with your spouse, it can be exponential. Yeah. Exponential in growth as a unit, as a couple, exponential in like your legacy that you get to build together, that's you become unstoppable, right? Building a business with your spouse. And the cons is it can cause a lot of frustration, a lot of fights. It can cause a lot of division if it's not done the right way.
The impact that it can make on your life is both greater and at a height, and it can also bring the quality of your life lower. If not done correctly. So the impact is extreme.
Yes, on both ends.
On both ends.
For sure.
And you have to walk through the reasons why it would fail because you have a lot at stake.
Yes, don't take it lightly.
Don't take it lightly.
At all.
Because the highs are insanely great. you're unified. You're going the same direction. Like one person's not trying to get theirs out of the company. You both are doing the same vision together. You can go insanely far if there's alignment. But then, oh my gosh, it could just be brutal. And I've been on both sides. Not with you and I, but I've been on both sides, and it's brutal.
Yes.
Absolutely devastating.
So don't build a business with your spouse. And I think if you tick the boxes of some of the areas that we spoke about today, and you're like, yes, this is what we're supposed to do. We have all of the areas that make for a successful partner-spouse relationship, being business partners, then definitely keep in mind those 5 rules that we went through today, because those can help you accelerate your success, but also ensure that, marriage is the priority, that you win in both business, but also in your marriage and in your relationship as well. So I love this conversation. It went a lot longer than we thought, but
we thought it was going to be a quick. Awesome. I would say anybody listening right now, if this was helpful for you, whether you're in a relationship, you're not in a relationship, whether you're in business with your partner or your wife, whoever, or you're not, or you're thinking about getting a business partner, like I'm sure there's a lot of different value that you got out of this. If you could think of anybody else that that is, whether they're married, they're thinking about getting married, or they're in a relationship, or they have a business partnership that you think would get value from this, share that. Just, hey, send a text, click the little share button, send a text. Hey, just listen to this. I was thinking about you, whether it's a business owner, another entrepreneur, a high performer, somebody you feel like would benefit, share this. And then while you're doing that, just click that little 5-star. It helps promote the show. That's all we ask. If you got value from this, if this was the stupidest, lamest thing you've ever heard, please don't do any of that stuff. Just maybe watch the next one and, see if you like that. But, I don't know why you'd still be here. But if you did get value, click that little 5-star. It sure does help us out a lot. And our only goal and mission here is to help other high performers that want to win. Win in every area of their life and business. So rate the show. We'll see you on the next one. And bye for now.
Always remember, domination is not a destination. It's a way of life. Stay winning.